up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. Today is Friday, September 11th, a very sad day for all of us, as we all know what happened in New York 19 years ago. I live in New York, so it was very scary for us, but sad day for everyone around the world to remember, and our thoughts are with everyone who lost someone that day, because I know there are lots of people.
Definitely. I saw we had someone in one of our groups today post, I think that it was her dad was actually in one of the towers. So, yeah, a very, very somber and sad day.
Mm-hmm. There's really no way to segue smoothly from 9/11 to the rest of the episode, so we're just going to go for it.
Yeah.
Olivia has an exciting update, as we've all been following the saga of her selling her house.
Sure, everyone's been dying to hear the latest update, but we sold our house. So, woo! It all went through on Wednesday afternoon this week, and so I think the process is a bit different here to there, or in my state anyway. So you exchange with the buyers. That usually happens in the week or so after they put in an offer, and they pay a 10% deposit. And basically that means once you exchange, they can't back out. That's when they say, congratulations, you've sold your house, or congratulations, you've bought a house. So if they do back out, you keep their 10% deposit and you can have legal recourse against them. But our agent said in 45 years, not one person has ever backed out after exchange. So sold the house, and then we settle, which is when we get the balance of the, money, and they get the house at the end of the month. So that's very exciting. So now I've just got to find somewhere else to live.
Well, hopefully that'll be easier than selling your house.
Yeah, we're not in a real rush. We're living somewhere at the moment where we can stay for a while. So that's fine. I just feel so relieved. I was waking up in the middle of the night being stressed and just so anxious. I don't even know why, but it's just so out of your control, I guess, when you sell a house. You just don't know what's going to happen. So relieved to have it done. At least this way we can just take our time and figure out where we want to go next.
Come to the US.
I wish. We can't go anywhere. Everything's shut. I would actually go on a holiday if we could, but everything is shut. We can't go anywhere. So anyway, I know a lot of people have it very tough at the moment too, especially people who are in Victoria here. They're on like a big lockdown. So I know that a lot of people are struggling. So I'm not, complaining at all. It would be nice for all of us to be able to go places, but hopefully next year we might be able to.
We can meet in person.
Well, I was meant to go. Well, not everyone knows this, obviously, but we had booked in to take our kids to the USA at the end of this year for like a 6-week trip. That was going to be our big, massive one-off family trip. Obviously can't happen, but hopefully then the same time next year we might be able to do it instead.
Mm-hmm. And she was going to come to New York. We were going to meet, and I feel like a lot of people, I don't know, probably don't know this, I guess, but we have actually never met each other. Mm-hmm. Most of us that admin our group have never met each other. Yeah. I think only you, Kendall, and Kelly.
I haven't met Kelly, just Kendall. But Kendall and I live close by to each other, so I see her sometimes. But everyone else is spread out.
So it's just an interesting tidbit about all of us.
Interesting fact about the dynamics. We had some good reviews this week as well, which, like last time we said we love getting. I'll just read out one of them especially, which I thought was really nice. It goes, I follow a lot of true crime podcasts, and I love this one the absolute most. The conversation flows so organically, and it's effortlessly funny and lighthearted without trying to turn it into a comedy. I get so hyped when they post a new episode. Someone please sponsor them so they can get more episodes. Which was so nice. I don't know who wrote that because they just put in a bunch of letters as their name. So thank you to whoever wrote that.
Thank you.
And we also had some feedback that the little I don't know what you'd call it,
it's like a static sound. It was just a noise I was using for transitions.
Yeah, transition, that's what the word I was looking for. So when we play a clip, Stephanie would put in a little like a fuzzy noise. Yeah. So we had some feedback that really hurts people's ears, which I would never have expected. So I'm glad that people told us that. And we're going to figure out.
It doesn't bother me at all. But I guess it bothers some people. So
I know
I'm going to try to figure out something different.
Lozzie said it hurts her ears. Maybe it's just some type of personal hearing preference.
Yeah.
So that was good to know anyway, which we had no idea. So
yeah. So I'm going to take it out. Maybe I'll throw it in every once in a while just to scare you guys. Just kidding.
Make sure you're paying attention.
Keep you on your toes.
Yeah. What's been happening with you? Anything?
Literally nothing.
At least you had your vacation. That's good now. Got it in
Yeah, and
finally.
nothing bad is happening either, so that's always good.
Yeah, I think that's a point now where we're just like, as long as nothing bad is happening, it doesn't matter if nothing is happening, as long as nothing bad is happening.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the cases from the group?
Yeah, I was just having a look through the group too to figure out what were the biggest cases this week, just to quickly mention for anyone who's looking for a new little rabbit hole. So the two I think that seem to have been the most popular, the first one is the case of missing child Braylon Noble. Braylon was a 3-year-old and he went missing from Toledo, Ohio. His mother, I think he had autism if I remember correctly. His mother gave a weird story about the last time that she'd seen him, and she said that he possibly fell out of a 3rd-story window. So like that was kind of weird from the start. So everyone was looking for him. He lived in an apartment complex. It had a pool. There was images of them searching the pool. We've got Nikki did a really, really good blog on this. Images of his mum kind of searching in the woods, I guess it is, next to the apartments. He was such a cute little kid. Anyway, then it turned out that just a few days ago, they found his body in the pool of the apartment complex, which there's no way, like there is absolutely no way they could have missed it. The pool wasn't murky, like it didn't look the cleanest.
Like it was a pool.
It was a pool. Like it wasn't like it had green algae or anything on it. It was just like a kind of a, not the cleanest pool, but you would have seen a kid in that pool.
You could see the bottom.
Yeah, and they searched it. Like there was people in there, like we've got the photos on the blog before he was found of them like
using like poles.
Yeah,
and
like
stuff.
a pole. And in this photo, there's 3, I guess, law enforcement people just standing at the pool. The pool is like a light blue pool. Like there is no way. I just don't even know how this.
It's like every other pool.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone would ever think that, maybe they would think, oh, well, maybe they missed him in the pool. And I know there was all things like maybe he'd been stuck in the filtration system and all that, but apparently the filtration system hadn't been turned on for months.
And also, absolutely not. He's not that small.
No.
It's not like it was like an industrial wave pool. It was just like a regular pool.
Not like it was a pond or something where, maybe he could have been stuck under reeds or whatever. It was just a swimming pool, a normal basic apartment swimming pool. So I think the theory is now that he was put in there, obviously, a few days after he was somewhere else and he was put in there. They have done an autopsy on him and it says that he showed no anatomic cause of death and no gross evidence of trauma. Drowning has not been ruled out yet. Further studies and investigation are needed. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that one. I know some people are saying maybe he wandered around for 3 days or however many days he was missing and then drowned in the pool. But would he really do that after falling out of a 3rd-story window if that was the real?
The whole thing's just really so weird.
Yeah, a whole bunch of very, very strange things have happened. So I suspect that someone hid him probably and then put him in the pool.
I just feel like saying that he might have fallen out a window from the 3rd story and then just walked off is so ridiculous. I feel like
maybe she was trying to set it up for when they eventually found him. But then the thing is, it's also said that he had no trauma, which he would have, you would think. I know they say kids bounce because they don't know to, tense up when they're going to fall. But he still would have surely had some type of trauma from a fall from that height. Even if he didn't break any bones, he would have had something.
Yeah, I'm on a 2nd story right now, and if I fell out this window, it would hurt.
Like it'd be, yeah, it's just ridiculous. So I don't know if she maybe said that to try and start setting up for the story, but then I don't know, maybe she just isn't the brightest.
It was also ridiculous to me that they were saying, like, I don't know if this was just like the press not really knowing what to say. They're like, divers, search the pool. I'm like, you don't need divers to search this pool.
You could literally just walk in the pool.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah.
It showed like the pictures, like a guy like up to his waist, like with a pole, just like poking around. I'm like, oh, those divers.
So a very, very, it's very sad. And it's just weird, like a weird, I don't even know what's going on with that one. So hopefully we'll hear some more soon about, if he had water in his lungs or.
Probably get an answer before the next podcast comes out. So if you want to know right when it happens, join our Facebook group because that's where you'll find it first.
I'm thinking, obviously I don't know, but my theory is that maybe something happened to him. Either maybe he was drugged or he accidentally passed away somehow from.
I feel like it stems from neglect.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like for whatever reason, and they've tried to cover it up, but who knows? Hopefully we'll find out soon.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one that is pretty crazy this week is we got on September 7 it was, so just a few days ago, someone submitted a story about a man called Andrew Lafleur. So he was a 39-year-old guy from Moss Bluff, I can't even get it out, Louisiana. And that basically it says, we've got it on the blog as well, truecrimesociety.com. Monday, September 7 at 5 p.m, deputies were dispatched to a home in Moss Bluff and he was found dead inside from a gunshot wound. After an investigation, the detectives learned it was an 11-year-old family member who was responsible for the shooting. So basically online straight away, people started speculating and locals started coming out. And then I've put all the screenshots on the blog so you can see. But one person wrote, he was shot and killed by his 11-year-old son. The sheriff's deputy said he beat that kid weekly for 6 years. The kid finally had enough. So there was all, at the time we figured out it was the son, and then there was other rumors like Drew and his ex-wife had been having a domestic dispute and the son pulled out the gun. Another person said it was an accident. So we were kind of, waiting a little bit, and it's just become a big mess. So basically they said that the kid shot Drew twice in the back of the head. The kid's been arrested, I think, on second-degree murder. And then one of Andrew's children has come out. We've got the whole post on the blog. I won't read it all because it's very long. But basically he said that the child killed Andrew because Andrew was abusive. It says emotionally, physically and mentally. Every day was something new, throwing dishes and coffee mugs to backing us into corners and screaming in our faces, to beating them to the point where they're running to the room saying, help me, save me. He would leave welts and bruises daily. The youngest child was always sick and refused to talk for 3 years. It sounds like Wesley's the son. Andrew and the ex-wife had a very toxic relationship and the kids witnessed this all the time.
So sad.
So terrible. So Andrew and his ex-wife as well were bodybuilders, I think, and there's rumours of roid rage. Obviously we don't know. These are all rumours, but this does seem to be the most common stories, that there was just years and years and years of abuse. I know some people have come out in Andrew's defense and said, no way, he would never do that. But this is his own daughter saying about the abuse. So I guess you can't get much more, close to the situation than that. And some people have also speculated that maybe she was doing this in an attempt to save her brother, as in, give him an excuse for why he did it. Would also make sense, I guess, but it's just a crazy, this little boy who was the shooter just looks so sweet. There's heaps of photos of him online, sweet, smiling, normal. It's just so strange. Imagine that. And everyone's like, how did he get the gun? And Andrew, I know, was a hunter. He'd taken the kids hunting. There's an article about him hunting with his little girl who was maybe 4 or 5 at the time. So the kids had been around guns their whole lives. So that hopefully, I don't know if we will learn any more because he's a, minor, but it all seems to be playing out online anyway. So we're trying to capture it all. If you want to have a look, it's all on the blog. So they're the two I've been following this week, taking up most of my time.
It's weird that steroids just came up as a possibility in this context, because I was talking to Nikki and Danielle and Marissa and Kelly and all of them last night. And we were just talking about weird high school classes and stuff like that. And I was talking about home ec, which was such a weird concept looking back at it. Now we learned to in middle school bake and balance checkbooks, which clearly I needed to know in middle school. But we also had to learn about steroids and stuff like that. We watched this movie and learned about roid rage and all this stuff. And I was saying that I feel like high school and middle school made it seem like steroids were to be way bigger of a problem in real life than they really are.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like people who worry about getting drugs in their Halloween candy. It's also not really a thing that you need to worry about.
Yeah. No free drugs, kids. All right. Today we're going to focus on the story of Evelyn Boswell. You've probably heard about this. It was a pretty big case. She went missing in February. And if you've been around with us since day one of starting this podcast, we actually did do this episode, but since it was one of our earlier ones, we deleted a few of those because we feel we've gotten better at it and can do a better job. Also, there is some newer information since we first did it, so we are going to redo this one. So if you're wondering where it went, that's where it went, and here's the replacement.
I think it's a good time for us to redo this one as well, because there has been some updates since we recorded first, but I feel like there probably won't be many more updates until the end of the year. So now I've said that, something's probably going to happen next week. But
Some like crazy there
are no updates due until I think it's there might be an update at the end of this month, a small one, but December is
December, I think. Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be enough update till the end of the year.
Finding Evelyn is our main concern and our top priority at this time. This case is unlike anything I've ever been involved in. We've had a child that's not been seen by the parents or certain family members in almost 2 months and was just reported this week. Evelyn was last seen in December. As you all know, these cases are already time sensitive, and we urge anyone with any information to come forward. I know there are a lot of questions and rumors floating around. Believe me, we have a lot of questions still unanswered as well. The investigation began on Tuesday afternoon, February 18, after the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office received a State of Tennessee Department of Children's Services referral. The referral stated that certain family members hadn't seen Evelyn in 2 months. The Sullivan County Sheriff's Office and the Department of Children's Services immediately launched an investigation to locate 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell. Her mother, Megan Maggie Boswell, has been involved in the investigation as long as with the father, Ethan Perry, who is stationed in the military in Louisiana. On Wednesday evening, just before 8 p.m., the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation decided the missing child met the criteria for an Amber Alert due to the child possibly being in imminent danger of physical harm or death.
This story started around February 19 this year. There was an alert issued for a missing 15 or 16-month-old child. Some sources had different ages, but anyway, she was around that age, and the child's name was Evelyn Boswell. She was reported missing the day before, which was February 18. So it says the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee are currently looking for missing toddler Evelyn Boswell. The toddler is 2 feet tall and weighs 28 pounds. She has blue eyes. She was a sweet little thing, like, beautiful blonde, blue-eyed, smiley little baby.
Chubby cheeks.
Yeah. So this all kind of started to emerge, and the stories were a little bit weird. And they said that basically she hadn't been seen since the end of November 2019, and she was last seen by certain family members. And it says, near the end of November 19 and the 1st of December 2019. So everyone was asking, why is there no Amber Alert for this child? And the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office issued a statement and said, we realize that some may question why an Amber Alert has not been issued. Criteria for issuing an Amber Alert are established by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or the TBI, and this case does not meet the criteria. So that happened February 19.
So this is a question we get in the group a lot too when kids go missing about, like, why haven't they issued an Amber Alert? There should be an Amber Alert. So there's actually pretty specific criteria for an Amber Alert. That is, the Department of Justice has guidelines, but most states follow those guidelines. I guess it could be slightly different for every state, but these are like the minimum requirements. The minimum requirements per the Department of Justice are belief by law enforcement that an abduction occurred, that it's believed that the child is in imminent danger, that there's enough information to describe the victim and the abduction. So that includes information about the suspect or the suspect's vehicle. So that's where a lot of times there can't be an Amber Alert, because if a kid's missing and there's no one has any idea who the suspect is or what car they could be in, they won't issue the Amber Alert.
Yeah, I feel like there needs to be some kind of in between, which is probably another discussion for another time, but there should be some other way you can make an alert for children who you don't have that information for.
I think in some states they have something, but it's not like a national thing.
National guideline.
The other ones were that they have to be 17 years or younger, and they have to be entered into the National Crime Information Center. So I looked at them for Tennessee just to be sure that they were the same, and it is the same as that. And then I also saw on the, whatever the official Amber Alert website is, it says issuing alerts in the absence of significant information that an abduction has occurred could lead to abuse of the system and weaken its effectiveness. So, I mean, I get why it's so strict, but also there's been so many times where kids are missing. You don't know who the suspect is. You can't get the word out like an Amber Alert can. You're not getting alerts to everyone's phones, and then the kid or kids in question wind up killed.
Yeah.
So that's that.
They didn't issue an Amber Alert to start, but eventually they did. The Tennessee Bureau of Investigation did. They asked for help finding Evelyn. This was all happening February 19, February 20, around those times. We learned very quickly that the person who had reported Evelyn missing was her grandfather, Tommy Boswell Sr. He had called the Department of Children's Services to talk about his concerns because he hadn't seen Evelyn for months. The next day, February 20, the TBI released some more images of Evelyn, and these are all on the blog if you want to check them out. They released information about what she was last seen wearing, and they said that she was wearing a pink tracksuit, a pink bow, and pink shoes. So before we get any further into this, case, and I know we've already mentioned Tommy Boswell, there are a lot of people involved. We're going to try to just keep this episode contained to the main
concise.
people. Yeah, concise. So we're not going to mention every single person involved. We'll just talk about the main players. And so the ones that you really need to be aware of. So there's Tommy Boswell Sr., who was Megan's father and Evelyn's grandfather. Evelyn is obviously the missing child. The next one, who is one of the main focuses, is Megan or Megan. I don't know how you say it either way. I say Megan. I think it's a accent thing anyway, whatever. Megan or Maggie Boswell. So that's Evelyn's mother, and she was 18 at the time when this was all happening. Throughout this podcast, we'll just refer to her as Maggie just to keep it simple. The next one is Ethan Perry. He's Evelyn's biological father. Ethan and Maggie didn't have a relationship at the time of Evelyn's disappearance. As far as we're aware, he didn't really have anything much to do with Evelyn. Maggie did have a boyfriend at the time called Hunter Wood as well. So you may see him popping up around the place in the case. And the next one is Angela Boswell. So Angela is Megan's mother and Evelyn's grandmother. Angela was married to Tommy at some point. They were divorced. And at the time of this case, Angela has a boyfriend who you'll also hear about a lot called William McLeod. So they're the main kind of ones. If anyone else pops up.
We'll preface who they are as we go.
Yeah. So if anyone, and we'll put a little family tree up on the blog as well, because I know there are a lot of people to keep track of.
I found a nice family tree of all their mugshots.
We'll pop that up. All right, so the National Centre for Missing and Exploited Children got involved quickly as well, and they released information that gave a date that Evelyn was apparently last seen, and that said that it was December 26, 2019. So that went against the other dates of November and the 1st of December that we spoke about earlier. Sheriff Jeff Cassidy told the media that his office received conflicting reports about when Evelyn disappeared. He said one report indicated that she was seen last on December 26th. However, he told the media that the babysitter claimed to have seen her on December 10 or 11, and those dates were more accurate. So I don't know why they couldn't really get a proper last seen date. I guess all these people turned out to be so shady and their stories just kept changing. Yeah,
they all lie. As this story goes on, you'll see that they all lie so much that is probably why they couldn't narrow down a date, because all they do is lie.
So, and I'm guessing they're saying that a babysitter who is kind of external to all these crazy people may be the most accurate source. So, we'll think about December 10 or 11. So basically 2 months before she was reported missing. We're at February 21 now, so the next day. The TBI made another public appeal, and they said they were looking for information about a grey BMW that was related to the case. It said, we now have information that indicates the individuals travelling in a grey 2007 BMW with the TM tag 3M96W9 have information regarding Evelyn Boswell's whereabouts. So this was a really, really fast-moving case once things actually did start happening. It was dormant for 2 months, and then especially on February 21, a lot of information started to come out. So the police confirmed that the child's parents, Maggie and Ethan, were both involved in the investigation. The sheriff said that Ethan was stationed in the military in Louisiana and that the mother had full custody of Evelyn. The sheriff also confirmed on this date that some of Maggie's information had not been accurate. He said, her stories aren't leading up to stuff we went out and checked on. He looked at video surveillance and eyewitness testimonies, but he didn't say much about what they were. He said that the information was conflicting and inaccurate, and he also said at that time that they believed Evelyn was alive. This was February 21, so 2 or 3 days after she was reported missing, and the TBI said they'd already had 300 leads come in about Evelyn's disappearance, but that none of them had developed into any credible sightings. So Maggie Boswell spoke publicly about the case for the first time on this date as well, February 21.
Well, the reason I didn't report it or anything is because I knew the person who had her, and I didn't want them to run away with her. And as soon as they thought anything was going on, they just kind of vanished. So I'm just worried about, like where they're at, what they're doing with her at this point in time.
So you do know who has her? You do. Can you tell us who that is, or you don't?
I can't release anything further about that. I'm sure they will at the press conference, but further than that, I can't say anything.
And so you do know who has her. Are you worried about her safety?
Well, now I am, because they won't answer phone calls. They've just kind of disappeared.
What is it like to? I'm assuming that you trusted this person. How has this trust been broken? What's been going on with that?
It has definitely been broken after this.
When was the last time you saw her?
In December.
In December. Okay. I know that you're hoping that she'll be returned shortly. Is there anything that you'd like to say to the person or people that have her that you think they should hear from you?
They should just bring her back. They obviously know what's going on, and they need to bring her back home.
And you said that you trusted this person. So when did you realize that trust might have been broken?
Well, when they just kind of took off and wouldn't answer anybody.
Around when was that?
Whenever this whole thing started.
Okay, all right.
She's an amazing public speaker, let me tell you. I highlighted all the time she says in some of these things.
Yeah, I feel like
it's more than me.
So many times. I try and be aware of it, but yeah, she does say it a lot.
Me too, and I hope I don't sound as dumb as her.
I'll read out just a bit of it because it's quite long, so I'll read out a bit of a highlight reel. It says, "In a way, I knew that as soon as anything went down, this person was going to disappear, and they have. And they have tried to find them. They won't answer phone calls. They just kind of disappeared." And then she said she would do things differently if she was given a second chance.
As I say, I wonder how Casey Anthony feels about Maggie totally ripping off her story.
She said, "Yeah, I probably would have called the first day. I should have, but I just didn't want them to run with her like they have now." That was the start of her stories.
That was the start of everyone being like, what is going on?
So Evelyn's grandfather, Tommy, also spoke to the media on February 21. So he was the one to call her in missing. He confirmed that, and he said that he'd last seen her on Thanksgiving.
What do you guys think happened? Can you comment on that?
I don't know what happened, but I'm the one called DCS and got this started.
And why did you call DCS?
Because my granddaughter, she never did come back, and I just want to know what happened to her.
When was the last time you had seen her?
Thanksgiving. Up to his house. We all had Thanksgiving dinner.
So you hadn't seen her since Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving.
I know some reports say that it was early December, so yours was a lot longer than that.
Yeah, it was Thanksgiving.
Had you been in communication with them at all? I know you hadn't seen her, but what about talking?
No, I hadn't talked to her enough. I stayed busy, and I talked to my ex-wife, and I told her, I said, if Evelyn don't come home, I said, I'm going to do something about it. And she said, you better not do that. You're going to regret this.
When he told his ex-wife, Angela, of his plans to call the Department of Children's Services, she said, in quotes, "You're going to regret this," which was quite interesting, as we will soon learn.
Red flag.
Yeah. So still February 21, this is a busy day. 2 people were arrested this day. They were identified as William McLeod and Angela Boswell. So just a quick refresher, William is Angela's boyfriend, Angela is Maggie's mother and Evelyn's grandmother. They were arrested in connection to the grey BMW that we mentioned earlier. And they were charged with theft over $2,500. So if you remember earlier, they said that the people driving that vehicle would have information about Evelyn's disappearance. So it's all kind of starting to fall into place here. On that day, also, the Sullivan County Sheriff announced that there was a $30,000 reward for the safe return of Evelyn. And I put in all the benefactors of that reward because it's quite interesting. The sheriff himself donated $1,000, which I thought was very kind.
Yeah.
Tommy Boswell Sr. donated $10,000. Tommy Boswell Jr. donated $10,000. So
I heard, as trashy as they all seem, I heard that is Tommy Boswell rich, or her family has a lot of money?
well, he seems to
Or
own
some
a
of
lot
her family,
land.
maybe?
I don't think Angela does, but I think Tommy
No.
must have some type of money because he owns a lot of land and, well, he's putting up.
Angela definitely doesn't, because her and William got caught stealing $42 worth of stuff at Walmart that they were arrested for. So, but I saw some like local people saying on Reddit that this was like what they said, that Maggie was kind of the product of a spoiled upbringing, always getting what she wanted, never having to really do anything. Not that she lived like an upscale life, but like apparently her dad just paid for a trailer that she lived in and she never worked or anything like that.
It wouldn't surprise me. She seems very entitled.
Yeah, she was one of the first smug bitches in the Smug Bitch Society.
So they continued searching for Evelyn, over the next few days. Nothing was found. On February 24, Maggie spoke to the media again. And her new story was that Angela had taken Evelyn to Mendota in Virginia. She said, I told the TBI where to find her in Mendota. My mum took her to a campground in a silver camper, and if they don't go tonight, I'm going to go find her myself because I've told them and they're not really taking it seriously. And if they don't go tonight, I will go myself and get her. This is, I won't read the whole lot because this is what it is. It's just her repeating herself.
I wrote next to that, like, why didn't you do that already?
I know, why didn't she do that? Yeah, I know. Like, this is all, again, it's similar to the Braylon Noble. Like, these stories are just not making sense at all.
Sarah, after interviewing Megan last night, we did follow up on some of the things she said. During the interview, she stated that she knew where Evelyn was the entire time. She says her mother, Angela Boswell, took Evelyn to a campsite in Mendota that she says she told TBI to search and they didn't. After speaking with investigators, they say that's just not true. In a press conference last week, Sheriff Cassidy said Megan Boswell's story continued to change throughout the course of the investigation. After speaking with her Monday night, she says she told police who had Evelyn from the start.
I know she has to be in a campground in Mendota with somebody. And Mom told me that they had a silver camper, and that's all she would tell me.
She claimed TBI did not search campgrounds in the Mendota area. According to Captain Andy Seabolt with the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, they did check. They also checked every site again last night and found nothing.
And then there was also some rumors at the time about her family. So Megan told news agency WJHL that she wanted to address these rumors. So she said,
please read this one in full.
Gypsies are not a cult. They have been asking people if there is like a gypsy ringleader, and we're not like ringleaders. We're not like out here kidnapping babies or anything like that. Well, yeah, and like my dad's very proud of that, but he's just mad about all the rumors going around, like trashing them, because like we're not a cult, you know what I mean? We're not like nothing like that at all. What a mess.
In that little paragraph, there was 11 likes. Yeah.
You counted them. All right, so law enforcement did go to that campground in Mendota and they found nothing related to the case at all.
But wait, because I know that this was talked about and I didn't follow this like really closely when it was first happening. And now I can really find, like, how did gypsies even come into play, really?
I don't really know.
I'm
assuming that's just kind of local talk.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I remember it started a big debate on if the word gypsy was racist in the group. It was a big hill to die on.
So that same day, Monday, February 24, Angela Boswell waived extradition in a North Carolina courtroom and told the judge that she was anxious to resolve this situation. She told the district court judge, David Bird, I'd like to get back there and get this situation with my granddaughter resolved. So William McLeod, Angela's boyfriend, spoke about the BMW on this day too, and he said that it was a gift from Evelyn's mother, Maggie. He said, I had no idea anything had went wrong with the car. Apparently her daughter hadn't paid for the car. Neither of us was aware of anything about that. They stayed both Angela and William stayed in custody at that time.
The car belonged to
Hunter.
Maggie's boyfriend's Hunter's mom. It was his mom's car.
There's just that's what I mean. There's so many people. So Maggie gave her boyfriend's mother's car to her own mother.
Yeah. She stole it from her boyfriend's mother.
Basically. So this is what we mean by it's hard to kind of keep track of everyone. So during this time, there was lots of people calling for Maggie to take a polygraph. We're not going to get into the reliability of polygraphs here, but people wanted her to do it. And she told news source WJHL that she was pregnant. And that was the reason why she couldn't take a polygraph. I think she was insinuating that it might be harmful to the baby or something along those lines, but that was her excuse. And at this day, more than 500 tips had come into the TBI. So Megan spoke on the 25th to the news source, but right after that, she was arrested. The Sullivan County Sheriff's Office charged her with 1 count of false reports. She was held in the jail on a $25,000 bond. So the next day, they held a press conference about her arrest, and they said that she was arrested for false reporting after continuously giving bad information and conflicting reports. Every time we talk to her, her story changes. I'm serious when I say that every single time, said Captain Andrew Seabolt.
You could tell that this guy hates
I
her.
know. He's like, I'm serious every single time.
And there's another quote later. I'm like, he's so passive aggressive.
So right as they ended the press conference, they got a tip and started looking for Evelyn in a pond just north of Wilkesboro. So a few hours later, there's some photos of the blog on the search. We learned that the property where they were searching was owned by Mary McLeod. So Mary is the mother of Angela Boswell's boyfriend, William. So another person to add. But anyway, basically it's related to William and Angela, this property.
The search for missing 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell crossed into its 3rd state today as the Wilkes County Sheriff's Department searched a pond here off North Lomax Road in Trap Hill, North Carolina for several hours today as part of the investigation. That search came up empty-handed. At a press conference Wednesday in regards to Megan Boswell's arrest and giving false reports over her daughter's whereabouts, Sullivan County Sheriff Jeff Cassidy confirmed that crews were searching in the same area where Evelyn's grandmother Angela Boswell and her boyfriend William McLeod were arrested on Friday. The property near the pond owned by McLeod's grandmother Mary. She says her grandson was at her house Friday before he was arrested with Boswell, who Evelyn's mom Megan says was the last person to see the toddler. They were found after a bolo was sent for a gray BMW that they were in. Mary McLeod says her grandson was wet when he came to her house.
He's devious enough. His record from youth up, he's been devious enough to be involved in something.
But around 5:30, the Wilkes County Sheriff's Department and Sherrills Ford Terrell Fire and Rescue Department left the scene, deeming the search inconclusive to the investigation regarding Evelyn Boswell.
So on February 26, William McLeod spoke with the news agency WLVT, who told them that he had seen Evelyn 1 or 2 times since he began dating Angela in June 2019. He told them he had offered to do a polygraph test, and he also offered his DNA to investigators. I kind of believe William. I think William isn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but I don't really think I'm sure maybe he knew what happened to Evelyn, but I don't think he really had a hand in it or orchestrated or anything like that.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. Anyway, we'll talk about it at the end. February 27 now, Angela and William appeared in Bristol court. William's bond was lowered to $10,000 with the condition that he wear an ankle monitor if he was released.
I have 2 theories of what happened to her, and it's basically I'll get into it more at the end when we're supposed to talk about it. But it's basically either that William and Angela did something and Maggie did something, but either way they all knew about it.
Yeah.
Either scenario.
Yeah. And our favorite Captain Andrew Seabolt also spoke to the media again this day about the rumors that Megan was pregnant. This is funny. I like
he's
this.
so sassy here.
He says, I cannot confirm or deny her pregnancy. What I can tell you is that the jail medical staff keeps track of pregnant inmates for obvious purposes. On Monday, the 24th of February, there were 4 pregnant inmates. On Tuesday, the 25th of February, there were 4 pregnant inmates. Megan Boswell was booked in there at 9:19 p.m. on Tuesday. The pregnant inmate count went to 5 on Tuesday at 11 p.m. when a pregnant woman was booked in. On Wednesday, 26th of February, the pregnant inmate count was 5 total.
So according to Sassy Seabolt, she was not pregnant, but he can't directly say that. So he had us do some math and we figured it out.
So she wasn't pregnant. That reason for not being able to take a polygraph was a lie.
Shocking.
Angela was released from jail on February 28. At this time, her next court appearance was set for March 4. So over the next few days, it was pretty quiet. One highlight, I guess, was that William McLeod appeared in court. and that WJHL caught him on camera trying to speak with Angela, and he appeared to be blowing kisses to someone. On March 4, Angela was due to appear in, this is also one of my favourite bits. So March 4, Angela was due to appear in court. Judge Klein Louderback asked Angela if she had yet retained a lawyer. She confirmed that she didn't have one yet. She said, "I can't find an attorney that will take the case." And she said there was a stigma around it. She said that she called several lawyers and was waiting to hear back from them. The judge asked when she was going to have an attorney, and Angela said, "I'm working on that. I'm Googling, trying to find lawyers."
So weird. I'm sure that she just didn't do it.
Yeah. Or, yeah, I'm sure she didn't as well. She's probably just trying to.
What kind of stigma? That's like the weirdest thing to say. That's literally what defense attorneys do.
I know. She's just a piece of work.
Stupid.
So we're in March now. We're at March 6th. And we got the news that no one really wanted. The police had found remains in the search for Evelyn.
That breaking news, authorities have found remains believed to belong to missing East Tennessee toddler Evelyn Mae Boswell. News Channel 5's Jason Lamb is at the 5 Alert Center with what we know right now. And Jason, after a 2-week search for Evelyn, this was not the news people were hoping to hear.
Yeah, Emily, there's no other way to put it. This is a heartbreaking update at the end of a heartbreaking week in Tennessee. The remains were found this evening on a property. Evelyn's grandfather reported her missing to the Department of Children's Services. The property is on Muddy Creek Road in Blountville. Deputies from the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office were searching the property when the remains were found. Those remains will be sent for an autopsy and a positive identification.
So we did some digging in the group, and we know that the property where Evelyn was found belongs to Tommy Boswell Sr. So he's the one who reported Evelyn missing. However, it seems like it's a very, very large property, and many family members live on different buildings on the property. And I think it was Tommy's, I might have this wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Tommy's. She was found near a property where Tommy Sr.'s mother lived. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter. She was found on Boswell property, but she was discovered in a shed.
And that's also who Angela said, "You'll regret this," or "You'll be sorry," or whatever she said
when
too.
He told her that he was going to report her missing, and she said, "You'll regret this."
Yeah.
So that kind of makes sense. So she was found March 6, March 9, Maggie.
My birthday.
Your birthday. It's always your birthday. Maggie
I know.
got caught again, and her bond was increased from $25,000 to $150,000. The Sullivan County District Attorney General Barry Storbus said, "We thought it was appropriate under the circumstances to file a motion to increase bond and to have a hearing as soon as possible." So on this day as well, the TBI agent Brian Fraley gave the court some more information about the discovery of the body. He said there was a body of a child, possibly a year and a half old, and he confirmed the age, the size, and the characteristics of the body matched those of Evelyn. He was asked what else was found, and he said the clothing. With the prior interview of Ms. Boswell, the clothing described in that interview was the exact clothing that was found on this child. What else was there? And they asked him, and he said there was various child clothing, diapers, toys, that type of thing that would have belonged to the child. So at this stage, they still hadn't confirmed it was Evelyn, but it was pretty obvious. He said clothing was found. It was consistent, matched the clothing that the child was wearing. They also asked Fraley about statements that Maggie had made, and they said, "Did Miss Boswell make any inculpatory statements with regards to the death of Evelyn Boswell?" And he said, "Did you say culpatory or," and they clarify and say inculpatory, and he said yes. So for anyone who's not aware, inculpatory statements are legally defined as incriminating or placing guilt or responsibility. You know, we still don't know exactly what she said, but it sounds like they had a pretty, a half decent idea of what had happened or what she'd said.
Or that something happened at least.
So on the same day, a news agency contacted Megan's father, Tommy. He said he wasn't going to post bail for Megan or Maggie. Sarah, I know I keep switching. Megan, Maggie.
Just say both.
On March 10, the family of Evelyn's father, Ethan, released a statement, and it said in part, "Our focus has always been Evelyn and now on the investigation and bringing all of those responsible to justice. We have complete faith and confidence in law enforcement to do just that." On the next day, March 11, Angela spoke to the Herald Courier. She said that she'd last seen Evelyn in September and that her nickname for the child was Eve. She said that she thought Evelyn had been placed in foster care in recent months. It's surreal, she said, at her parents' home in the trailer park near Kingsport. It's something that's still sinking into me. I'm still in shock about it. Her story was that she had heard Evelyn had been removed from Maggie's custody and put with a foster family. She said that led her to get back in touch with her daughter and try to help her, but she didn't explicitly discuss Evelyn because she wanted Maggie to bring it up on her own when she was ready. So this is another news story to add to the mix.
Yeah.
That same day, March 11, the TBI did confirm that the remains did belong to Evelyn. They said, "We have a sad update to pass along in our ongoing search for answers in the death of 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell. Remains found on Friday evening have been confirmed to be those of the little girl." So a judge sealed records from the autopsy for Evelyn. They still haven't released how she died to this day. And Barry Storbus, who's the District Attorney General, spoke to the media. He said, "I thought it was necessary because of the publicity the case has engendered and because it's still under investigation. I thought it would maintain the integrity of the investigation." That's a very sad little update. But so we're at March 12 now, the next day. The Boswell family released a statement, which I like this statement. It says, "The immediate Boswell family, excluding Angela Jones Boswell, of Evelyn, are in anguish and grief over their loss. It has been a very rough and trying time for everyone. At this time, they do not want to speak publicly in regards to the tragedy. They are still trying to process what has happened. They ask for media and the public to respect their wishes. They need more time to grieve privately."
Why didn't they also exclude Maggie? Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
They just really hate Angela, maybe. But I didn't think of that the first time.
I guess Maggie is still their family, whereas Angela isn't really anymore now that they're divorced. But maybe, I don't know. But yeah, you would think you would exclude Maggie too.
Yeah.
So after March 12, things went quiet. There was just nothing. No new information, nothing much happening. We were at April 27, so about 6 weeks after that. Investigators said they were still waiting to receive autopsy and toxicology, but they weren't going to make them public anyway. We haven't heard. I think they do know how Evelyn died, they've said in the meantime, but as of April 27, they didn't.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, May 6th, the Sullivan County Sheriffs said a person of interest was being investigated in relation to the death of Evelyn. They didn't name the person, but they said they did have a person of interest. On May 8th, Maggie appeared in court. The lawyers reviewing the case said they needed more time to review interviews with Maggie before they submitted the case to a grand jury. The state prosecutor, Teresa Nelson, said there were more than 25 hours of video interviews with Maggie to review before the case could be submitted. So a few weeks later, on May 21, Maggie was indicted by the grand jury on 11 counts of false reporting. They decided that Maggie's bond would remain in place and they set the next hearing for July 31. So I think things might have been a little bit delayed because of COVID and whatever else. So, or unless we just didn't hear about the July 31 update until August, because on August 19, the TBI announced that Megan was being charged with 2 counts of felony murder along with other charges. I'll just read out all her charges because there's a pretty long list. It says 1 count of felony murder in perpetration of child abuse, 1 count of felony murder in perpetration of child neglect, 1 count of aggravated child abuse, 1 count of aggravated child neglect, 1 count of tampering with evidence, 1 count of abuse of a corpse, 1 count of failure to report a death under suspicious, unusual or unnatural circumstances, and 12 counts of false reports. So I feel like those charges make it fairly obvious about what they believe happened to Evelyn.
Also, just an interesting side note that I found, because I was reading about her charges, and someone asked how you can be charged with 2 felony murder counts for only 1 murder. And I guess it comes down to the jury will decide which one fits best according to the evidence, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's right. I think they did it just to cover all their bases. So in case they say that she wasn't guilty of child abuse, she might be guilty of child neglect.
That's how I understood it too.
They set her next hearing for August 28. Her attorney, Brad Sproles, said he had not recently spoken to Megan. He said, "I've not been able to speak with her. There have been some COVID issues at the jail, so we're somewhat limited in our ability to talk to folks up there. but I've spoken with some of our sheriff's officers. In the next few days, they're going to make arrangements where I can talk to her by video. I don't like Megan or Maggie at all, but I think this is quite terrible. If she doesn't even have access to an attorney, that's, and she's got...
I think someone was saying that I guess the jail that she was in, or like that area, had like a pretty bad outbreak, and that was why. So they were being really strict.
I guess.
But why can't you video chat?
Yeah. Like, I guess everyone's learning, like, this is a learning experience for everyone in terms of COVID and communication, but you would think that would be one of the first things they would have set up.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just a little point I found interesting. So, August 19, Angela and William appeared in Bristol General Sessions Court. The same judge, again, Klein Ladderback, found probable cause for the theft charges to move forward to a grand jury. So this is where we learn more about the theft of the car. Melissa Wood, who's Hunter's mother and Megan's boyfriend's mother, who originally owned the vehicle, testified that she was going to sell it to Maggie in February. At that time, Maggie was dating Hunter, and she took the vehicle February 13 to get it checked out and never bought it back, and no money was exchanged. It says she was supposed to be purchasing it for her mother, but I never received payment on it.
What a scumbag.
I know. Ricky Curtis, who was an attorney representing William, asked Wood whether Angela or McLeod were told they were not allowed to drive the car. I don't even know him, and I've met her once, so no. That was the answer. As far as I can tell, I believe now, in terms of Angela and William, they're due back in court at the end of this month. So we can give you a little update on that when that happens. Megan appeared at a hearing next on August 29, and she pled not guilty to all 19 charges that we spoke about earlier. WJHL has covered this case really extensively, and I got this information from them. Brad Sproles, who's Megan's attorney, filed a motion for change of venue due to extensive media coverage of the case. This seems to be happening a lot. I know it's happening in the Vallow case as well, where they want to get it moved to, I guess, stop bias by the locals and things like that.
Yeah.
So he seems to be going down that way as well.
I think it's also it's just like a small town from what I've seen.
And I guess it's also a way to buy time as well.
Yeah, and everyone's emotionally invested. And
Judge James Goodwin scheduled Megan's next court appearance for December 3 at 1:30. On that date, the state is supposed to determine whether or not there'll be enhanced punishment, which would be the death penalty or life without parole or not. So they haven't said if the state will seek enhanced punishment for Maggie at this time. The penalty for first-degree murder is a life sentence, and Barry Strawbus, who's the District Attorney General, has said it can also, on certain occasions, carry the death penalty or life without parole, so we'll have to announce to the court what we'll be seeking in this case. He also said on this date that he filed a motion for a bill of particulars to receive clarification on Maggie's aggravated child abuse and neglect charges. He said both of those based on what they refer to as serious bodily injury, but it doesn't. That's all we know. So we've asked the state to clarify those statements as to what bodily injury they are referring to. And News Channel 11 asked Megan's attorney how she'd reacted to the charges. I'd rather not say at this point, he said. She's obviously charged with as serious a crime as she can be. So, she's very serious about it and understands the gravity of what she's facing. So that is the extent of what we know in Evelyn's case. As I said, we don't know how she died. We've learned a little bit more when they speak about the serious bodily injury, which to me make it seem less likely that she just died because of neglect.
That's true.
Which we didn't, this was only a new thing. We only learnt this, a week or two ago. So it seems to me like she did suffer an injury that did cause her to die, unless she was just a beaten child anyway, which I guess is also a possibility.
People were saying that, I guess, Hunter, who was Maggie's boyfriend at the time this was going on, when this all happened, he kicked her out. She was living with him, even though they'd only been dating for like a few months, and he kicked her out or whatever. He was doing some interviews, and he mentioned something about Evelyn breaking her arm.
Okay.
So I don't know what the whole story was there, but people are saying that it could hint at maybe what happened. Like maybe her arm is broken for some reason.
Yeah.
Like if they were trying to cover the story.
It's just like this poor little girl. I know when they said that at the time when she was found in the shed, they said that she was surrounded by like toys, and so there was a kind of a theory that maybe she'd just been left to die in the shed, which I hope
Yeah.
wasn't the case. I hope whatever happened to her was quick. And
another theory that I saw on that, I think it's probably more so something like that, or I guess there's two theories. One person said that they were wondering if it was like a sign of remorse, kind of like guilt, like if you leave the toys and blankets with the body, but then someone else brought up
little,
like a memorial almost.
Yeah.
But then someone brought the point of like, I could see that, but then why like the diapers? Like why? So then I saw someone else saying that it seems like it could also be someone was just trying to like get rid of all the evidence of a baby being wherever Evelyn was and just got rid of all her stuff with her.
I feel like, obviously this is all just speculation because we don't actually know what happened to her, but I feel like my theory is that Maggie did something to her. I have no doubt that Angela probably knew about it. I think that Angela, though, has a drug issue, so that makes me wonder.
They've both. I know we've been talking about how they're all kind of just like the worst people.
Yeah.
But I did write down some of their arrests for William and Angela. To clarify again, Angela is Maggie's mother, Evelyn's grandmother, and then William is her boyfriend. So
Angela's boyfriend, yeah.
Yes, Angela's boyfriend. So William was arrested on May 3rd of this year, actually, on charges that were unrelated to Evelyn, but he was arrested for child abuse and neglect, violating a protective order, and domestic assault. So this had to do with his ex-girlfriend, who I think was 37, and he has an 8-year-old son with her. I guess he showed up at her house. She thought he was on meth, and the article said that William was assaulting the female, and the 8-year-old tried to get him to stop like hurting his mom, and the 8-year-old was struck in the face. So he was arrested for that, which, even though it has nothing to do with Evelyn, could kind of feed to the fact that he clearly doesn't give a shit about kids. Another one was in March of 2020, Angela and William were arrested for shoplifting at Walmart for $45 worth of items. So clearly they're struggling, I guess.
I wonder what that was stealing. I would have liked to know.
Yeah, I know. It just said $45 worth and 2 cents. Between July to November 2018, Angela was caught twice driving with a baby unrestrained and in her lap. So again, no regard for child safety.
Yeah.
Also in November 2018, Angela was arrested for stealing pastries, and when they booked her into jail, and they do like the strip search type thing, they found Schedule 2 drugs on her, and I looked it up. Schedule 2 drugs are things like meth, morphine, things that are highly addictive.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people saying that they're all meth addicts, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then one other one was Angela crashed her car in 2019 into another vehicle. She was driving without a license and had no car insurance.
She sounds like a real winner.
Mm-hmm. They both clearly have no regard for not breaking the law or children.
And I know you sent me a whole bunch of stuff, especially from Reddit, about the case. One of the comments, which I don't know if I agree with 100%, but someone said that Maggie was a victim of like this cycle, that she gave Evelyn the same upbringing that she had, because I guess Angela was not a great person.
I mean, I think it's true, but it doesn't make me feel bad for her, or like that she isn't at fault. I do still feel like she's absolutely at fault. But with these people in her life, like what kind of upbringing do you think Maggie had, especially as a pregnant 18-year-old? She clearly had no support either. And that's probably why she's so seemingly immature, feels like smug, like nothing's going to happen to her. Like she never really had a chance to have a good life either. So.
And I know that we've spoken about Hunter, who is Maggie's boyfriend. So I tried to look him up just to clarify, and I'm pretty sure he's 27 or 28. So he was quite a bit older than Maggie. And I know there's a lot of rumors too about his involvement in the case.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that he was involved.
No, I don't
really,
think so either.
But a lot of people do think that he could have had something to do with it. I saw someone say, I couldn't find it anywhere else really, but someone said that one of Maggie's false reports that she told police was that like at night they were sleeping with Evelyn and her or Hunter rolled over on her and crushed her.
Yeah, you'd think for I don't know, maybe unless they were on drugs or whatever, but maybe for a tiny baby, but not for a toddler would be much harder.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they deemed that it wasn't true anyways, but.
And I know like the rumors online say that Hunter had a history of maybe abuse. There's a rumor that his ex-girlfriend accused him of hurting her baby. Rather than press charges, she accepted a settlement from his family. I don't know, maybe he did know more about abuse, if abuse was happening, which it sounds like it was, but I don't think he really probably had anything to do with the actual death of Evelyn. I suspect that she was just a very abused child, or, she was an abused child, and maybe one day Maggie went too far, or she died from some type of injury from her abuse.
Oh, here's more about them being criminals that I found. It was a picture of like all their mugshots put together that I was talking about before, and someone commented and asked what kind of charges did they all have. I think that's important to know. And someone said, well, Angela got charged for stabbing her ex-husband in the neck with a pen during a fight. They all did meth. Angela's ex and their son hit her lover with their work truck after finding her in bed with him. Lots of wholesome family things, I
wonder if she's been married more times than Tommy. I wonder if Tommy was the one who got stabbed in the neck.
With a pen.
No wonder he doesn't like her.
Yeah. This one I didn't really see a lot either, but this is coming from someone who knows them all, kind of is local to the area. Apparently, Maggie's dad and brother were charged with attempted murder in 2012. They tried to kill a boyfriend of Angela's. And also they said that Mendota, where Angela supposedly had Evelyn, is a particularly bad area for drugs, particularly meth. It's also very mountainous. A lot of places with no cell phone service and a shoot first, ask questions later mentality.
So it's just, the whole family's a big, big mess. Even though I know this Tommy kind of paints himself as the good guy. Like, he was, and I think
he's been arrested too.
He's the good guy in this case. Like, he did report a missing, he's put up the reward and all that stuff. Like, he's been very vocal about being anti-Angela. And he didn't, he obviously didn't post Maggie's bond either, but he's no angel himself.
No, he has a few mugshots also. I feel like, I don't know now because you pointed out that bodily injury thing, but I still think it kind of all stems from neglect of some form. And I feel like I wouldn't be surprised either way if she died in the care of Angela or if she died in the care of Maggie, but I still think that they were all in on it. I feel like Angela and William helped hide the body maybe because they did show up at William's mother's house at like a weird time, like all wet and covered in mud, asking for gas money, and they stole this car and clearly left town, like they were caught in another state or something, I think, right?
The only thing that makes me think that they weren't, I have no doubt they were involved before Evelyn died, maybe in some type of abuse or whatever, but they weren't involved in anything related to her death because they haven't been charged. Like, Maggie's got these 19 charges. If they have that much evidence, which it seems like they do, why aren't they charging at least Angela with something if she was involved? It is weird because like the story about how Maggie said maybe she was just trying to place the blame on Angela. Maggie said that Angela took the child and, all that stuff. So maybe that was just her trying to deflect what had actually happened.
Yeah, I feel like Maggie probably tried to pawn Evelyn off on Angela and them. Like, I feel like Maggie didn't really want to be a mom, and probably kind of like a Casey Anthony situation where she wanted to go out and party, and maybe she was leaving Evelyn alone. Maybe she did leave her in the shed, but I just feel
I know it's sad to wish any type of death on a child, but I hope that she died quickly, like maybe from a blow to the head, which I know is terrible, but that is better for me than her lying in that shed for days or whatever by herself and dying that way.
It's just weird because in the interviews, we'll put in clips from them, but Maggie put off so many people because she, like we said, she's very smug. She almost seems giddy while she's talking about this. I think she likes the attention.
Yeah. I think
which
Maggie
could maybe stem from her shitty family never giving her attention growing up.
It wouldn't even surprise me if Maggie is a bit delayed in some sense. Like she's absolutely not the most intelligent person.
I thought the same thing.
There might be some type of, I don't even know. I can't even think of what it would be, but some type of delay.
Just like not educated. Like
no.
socially or
yeah, like she's just
actually educated.
She just seems super, like I know she's only 18 or 19 now, but she just seems much more immature than that.
That could have been kind of along the lines of what that person was saying, is that like her dad had some money and she kind of never really had to do anything.
Yeah. There's probably also part, here's me being a psychologist, but why, like, in terms of Hunter, like Hunter was a lot older. His family owned some fried chicken shack or something. So they had, it sounds like possibly, some means. It's not like she dated someone who was her own age who didn't have a job or whatever. It seems like she sought out someone who was able to provide for her.
Apparently his family, people were saying that his family is not like a powerful family, but like a well-known family in the area. And they were trying to say that it would be enough, in their opinion, to maybe kind of keep Hunter out of trouble and stuff like that. So I could just go with what you're saying of maybe she knew that they were kind of like a important family of the area. But one other comment that I found that I thought was interesting, and a lot of these comments, and when we're talking about Reddit, there's a whole Evelyn Boswell subreddit. That's where we're getting all this information from, just to credit all these people. But this one I could see happening, I think. But they said, anyways, if Maggie is one of these types, she may have been in the habit of leaving Evelyn with Angela and other family members for an extended period of time. Something happens while Evelyn is with Angela. Eventually, Megan asks to see Evelyn. Angela gives her the runaround, says she took Evelyn to the gypsies because Megan wasn't caring for her and Angela didn't want to raise her. At some point, Megan may have tried to force the issue, at which point Angela either threatened to turn her into CPS for neglect, threatened that the gypsies would take Evelyn away forever if Megan reported her missing, or possibly told Megan that Evelyn was dead at that point and that she would be suspect number one if she went to the police. Maybe all three. I find it odd that Evelyn turns up on the property of the person Angela had threatened, allegedly, and Megan just doesn't strike me as a criminal mastermind.
I think also like that kind of statement could point to Megan having some type of delay. Maybe she really did believe the story about the gypsies, if that was true. Like, I don't think most people would, but maybe she really thought that was what happened. I just feel like those charges are so specific to Maggie that she had to have something to do with actual death. I don't think she was just involved in the cover-up. I feel like she had to have been involved in Evelyn's death.
Yeah, I agree. I think it must be like a similar story to her just not wanting.
And who knows, maybe her and Angela came up with that story about, let's say we gave her to the gypsies, or let's say she's with someone, a foster family or whatever.
So weird. Like, just the more I think about gypsies, like
it's not often, I think, that we don't have a real good idea about what happened. Like, obviously we generally know that she probably died from abuse or neglect in some form, but just the circumstances surrounding that are
we don't know who was responsible for her during the time.
My money's on Maggie, Angela being involved somehow, but I think Maggie was the main abuser and the main perpetrator.
I feel like maybe she got hurt and then they thought she was dead and Maggie just kind of left her in the shed or something.
I know I said earlier that I believe William McLeod when he said he was going to do a polygraph and all that, but then in terms of that, I think he still seems to be involved with Angela.
Yeah, I think that.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was involved in some way either. I think he's shitty.
I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't involved. If he was involved with like dumping the body or whatever they did.
Yeah, he seems like that type of guy. He has a face tattoo.
So I think that's it for Evelyn. As I said, Angela and William are due back in court at the end of this month, so we'll give you an update, and then we might do another episode later in the year once Megan's,
depending what comes out.
Yeah. Hopefully we learn some more, but it has been pretty silent for the last few months since it's all kind of happened.
So it gives everyone plenty of time to research, make sure you know who everyone is.
I just want to give a shout out to the people in the group, because I had some questions, because I know we did this case earlier, so I knew a lot of the information, but I just had some questions for clarification, and the people in the group were super helpful. So thank you to everyone who helped with that.
All right, so like Olivia said, we'll keep everyone updated. Like I said earlier, if you want prompt updates, since this podcast is bi-weekly at the moment, make sure you join our Facebook group if you're not in it already, because that is where we're always talking about all the crimes constantly in real time as they're going on. You won't miss anything because there's 150,000 people in the group all over, always looking for crimes to post.
Yeah, a quick little info about the group too. In cases like Evelyn's or Gannon, Stark or whoever, big cases, I think we have a good little organisation system. So what we do is we have discussion threads, and then we also just have a thread dedicated to like official updates only. So because I know it can be hard to follow all the discussions. So there's no way that you'll miss anything in these big cases.
Yeah, we decided that we were going to do that after we realized how big the group became and how hard it was to sift through all the comments about praying for people and, oh my God, I hope that bastard dies and I would kill him.
And did you hear this? Yes, we have heard.
Yeah. Yes, we heard it 10 times.
Anyway, so it's great that people want to contribute, but we have a good little system, I think, for just updates. If that's all you want, you just have 5 minutes and you want to come and read all the updates, we've got you covered.
So yeah, make sure you're in our Facebook group. We have Instagram, Lassie's doing our Twitter, all that. Follow us on everything. If you haven't left us a review yet, please leave us a good review. If you have any feedback for us, like that sound effect one was really helpful to us. So if you have anything like that to say, just shoot us a message.
Absolutely. Message us before, we are more than willing to have a chat if you've got a suggestion. So just send us a message on the page.
Yeah, don't leave us a bad review.
Good reviews only. Good news only.
If you have anything else to say, just say it to my face, okay?
I feel like we've had some, people have been generally really, really kind lately. I think it's lovely. Warms my cold heart.
Me too. And then I get one 3-star one and I'm devastated. I'm never doing this again.
You've broken my heart.
I hate this. All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great week. Thanks for the memes, and we'll see you next time.
See you soon. Bye.